Okay, are we on? Let me just get my act together. Okay, I think we're on, and how are we all doing? So, today I'm going to do something that well, it was actually an idea that came to me about a week or two ago. And I thought to myself, that would be cool, you know? So the idea was that it would be nice to build a front-end framework that had no class stuff required, you know? Let me show you what I mean with that. If we take, now let's just see here. Okay, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to get the Trongate desktop app. Okay, and I'm going to create a new app. I'm going to call it CSS project, right? And I'm just going to generate this. Okay, so we have a new app. Now, let me open up this CSS project thing here. So if we go like this, here it is here. And I'm going to make up a brand new module here. I'll just call it test. It's going to have a controllers folder. And it's going to have a views folder. Alright. Inside the controllers folder, we'll have a new file called test.php. We'll do the ordinary opening that we all know and love. And I'm going to have a little index thing going on. And it's going to load up a view file called test. So if we head over to test, we get something like this. And inside the views folder, I'm going to make up a file called test.php. Alright. So let me show you what I'm thinking here. Supposing I was to have a framework, and I'll just call it the CSS project, right? Alright. Now, obviously, we can add things like headlines and subheadlines and all of that stuff. Maybe that would be an H2. And, oh, pardon me, H2. We might have another that says H3 headlines look like this. And then, of course, we might have forms, you know. So if I go echo form open, and you say wherever it's going to go, you might say echo form close. And you might have something like echo form input. Let's just say name. Like that. And let's also echo form submit. It might have a name of submit and a value of submit. And you never know, you might even have somebody who has a label going on, right? So we have something like this, and that is that's basically just pure HTML without any CSS or anything in it. Now the thing is, we are all used to adding frameworks in, right? And when we do that, well, what next? You go into everything and you add classes like button, btn equals or whatever, class equals btn primary, and all sorts of stuff like that, you know? That's just how we work. But what if there was another way? So let's go something like this. So this is just my form looking at the the same thing again, but just with pure HTML here. I'm going to tidy up a wee bit. Now the question is, would the following even have value? Supposing I was to say style, and then I was to say something like, if it's a button. Now let's just say, for argument's sake, background color red. Okay. So wouldn't it be nice if there was a front-end framework whereby you never had to say class equals such and such, but you can just put out pure HTML without any class equals BTN shenanigans? And it would just work. Now that would be kind of cool. So let's see if we can figure this out, right? For the body, I'm going to just say margin 0, padding 0. I mean, that's a normal thing, right? And then I'm going to get a nice font. So I think the best way to do this is probably on W3 Schools, there's a thing called Websafe fonts. And there's nothing special about any of these. But what we could do is chuck in a paragraph like this with a bunch of lorem. Maybe even chuck in some kind of list thing. And here we go. Another item. Yet another. Okay. Now let's look at the Websafe fonts here. Suppose we just said, right, let's make it so that right, suppose we went with, I'm thinking of one of these here. I kind of like this Tahoma one here. I like this one as well. So let's just see. Right, let's go with this one because it's nice and easy to read, right? So I'm going to just say font family is that. Now check out the page here, folks. Right, so it's this one here. Check out the page as we refresh. You can see that the font has changed, right? Now, for the purposes of this example, I'm going to just have a little div with a class of container. That will not be a part of this framework, at least not this version of it. But I'll just go up here. I'm going to say that container is going to have a width of 1000 pixels. Margin 0 auto. That's going to bring it to the center, right? So let's have a think about these different bits and pieces here. Suppose we have things like, let's just say first name, let's just say email, something like that, right? So the job is to use pure CSS to get this to look nice, but without adding any class shenanigans on. There's no point in making a framework unless you're going to bring something new to the table. So that's what we could bring to this one, right? So the vibe is add nothing. So let's think about this then. We could start off with the labels. Now, we could say clear both, perhaps. Maybe not. That done nothing at all. Okay, background color yellow. This could be a very short project. Let's try display block. Ah, now that kind of works, right? That kind of works for sure. Now, I'm not even sure if I need these two things, but I'll keep them in anyway. Let's think about the form. With the form, you might typically have a paragraph up here that will say something like, fill out the form and hit submit, something like that, right? That's how we normally would do this. Okay, we might have a headline above that. Oops. And you know, it's actually not really that bad. Now, let's think about the button thing here. Now, the question is, how do you get the button to take up a new line? Well, you might not want to. That's the truth of it. So you're probably going to have to do a div for the buttons, whether you like it or not. There's just no getting away from it, folks. Now, fair enough. Now let's see if we can get a nice button here. I'm going to say background color is steel blue. Okay. I'm going to say that the border is 1 pix steel blue solid. I'm going to say that the margin is going to be, let's say, 12 pix 4 pix. Alright, let's say 12 4 0 0. That's a bit better. Let's say that the padding is going to be 12 pixels maybe. It's probably a wee bit much. Yep. Let's say that the color is going to be white. That's kind of cool. Now, supposing you looked up skeleton CSS, let's say. Now, I'll use this as kind of a rough guide, right? So I kind of like skeleton because I think it's got nice buttons going on, you know? So let's just keep an eye on this. So I think we're probably going to increase the margin a wee bit. In fact, you know what? The margin should probably be in M's. Yeah, that's what we should do. Alright. So let's increase that margin size. That had no effect at all. Oh, of course, it's the padding we're looking at, right? So the padding is going to be in M's. I'm going to say 1M. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's good. So let's be a little bit more exact than this. I'll make it top bottom 6, but left and right of 1. There we go. That's kind of cool, right? Now, back over to skeleton. Back over here. Right, I want to just keep an eye on the form. Right, I would like a form that looks a wee bit like that. So, let's build that. So I'm just going to say here, let's go with your name. Doesn't have to be the exact fields and all of that, right? Okay, now the label is fairly close to the thing. Now, I'm going to chuck a placeholder in. Enter your name here. Okay, now let's get the padding sorted on this. So, we're talking about an input field, and I think we say type is text. Is that how we do that? Background color red, let's just try. That is what we do. If I do that, it goes perfect. Okay, good. So if it's a text input thing, then I'm going to say padding, and I'm going to get the same kind of padding that we've got there. Alright, let's have a look at skeleton. Now skeleton's got slightly rounded corners there. And the font is a little bit bigger. Do we have left side padding? We do, but not quite as much as what we've got. So I'm going to bring the padding in a wee bit. Maybe we'll go like this. Ah, now that's kind of cool. Alright, let's bring the font size up a wee bit. That's far too much. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Now I'm going to say that the width is 100% by default. Okay. Now for each of these labels, I'm going to say margin top, and I'll just make it 2M. Yep, let's have a look here. Okay, now that's a bit much. Let's go with 1.4. It's not too bad. Now I'm going to give the thing the slightest radius. So I'm going to say that for input type text and for buttons, border radius, and let's just try 6 pixels for example. Right, so we've got a little tiny radius going on there. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up CSS padding fix text area. Right, there's a fix we can do for that. See how that yellow bit's not quite right? And it's something to do with WebKit, you know? I remember that. So WebKit. All I'm looking for. Yep. Is a wee fix here. All right. I wonder if the other front-end frameworks have got this. CSS, padding, margin, WebKit. Okay. Right, I might need a quick tutorial on this. CSS, let's just see, I can't remember it. You say something like type is box or something like that. Oh, hang on. CSS WebKit. Fix. Padding. Margin. Ah, you know what? Okay, so if you have a look at something like skeleton here, it has a file called normalize. Now, I'm going to just look for this word here. Right, I think I'm going to have to add this. So let's just for the moment, I'm going to go here, new file, normalize.css, chuck that in. Okay, not even sure who wrote that, but it'll do us. So I'm going to say link, and it's going to be on base URL, CSS, normalize.css. Okay. And that had no effect whatsoever. All right. Okay. Well, let's not worry about it too much. Okay. So I'm going to take out the... I don't feel as if that normalize thing really helped me at all there. So let's take out this yellow thing. All right. So with the label, I'm going to modify this just a wee bit. I'm going to say margin top is 1.4, left is 0, bottom is going to be 0.7, and that's us. Right, now let's get this right. That's about perfect. That is just about perfect. Now with the button, I'm going to make the font size a wee bit bigger. Maybe not that big. All right. Nah, that's probably fine actually. Right. So let's try again. Font size. I think that's about it. Alright, now I'm going to do a paragraph here. It will be an empty paragraph, but it's going to have a height of 900 pixels. And I'm just doing that so that I can scroll here. Right, that's kind of cool, isn't it? So now what I want to do is get some CSS sorted for a highlighted text area. So highlighted or selected input text field, something like that, you know. So I think you would say well, I'll probably have to have a wee look at Skeleton and see how they do it. So you can see that if I highlight there, it goes that light blue colour, the border. So let's just see if we can figure that out. Now I'm not seeing anything obvious there. Okay, so the plan B is to have a look at this. Okay, now I'm going to go and have a wee look at the skeleton CSS thing here. And I'm just going to search for that colour. So input type button is that. Okay, so there's what you do. You do this. You say that, and then you just say border. I'll make it red. And you can also see it saying outline 0. I don't think we even need that, but we'll chuck it in. So what this should do, folks, is when I click on one of these things, you'll see that the text area now goes red. I wonder what this outline 0 does. Ah, so we need to add that in, right? Okay. So there we go. Now what if I make it 2 pix red solid? Oh, that's better. See that? Now here, the text areas are little thin silvery things, and here, pardon me, here are the big dark things. So let's make it, let's go with border. Let's try 1 pix red solid just to see what, that's going to be perfect. So we'll go with something like that, and I'll make the colour all the threes. So it's not going to be quite black or anything, but that's good. Alright. Excellent. Now, when I click on the thing, I'm going to have it go in that steel blue colour again. And you can hardly see it, but it is happening. Look at that. It's perfect. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cancel button up here. So I'm going to just do the exact same again. Now for this, I am going to have to say class equals alt. And I'll just say cancel here, right? So we get something like that. Now, let's think about the alt thing. I'm going to say class alt. And it's going to have all of the same stuff as the ordinary button. The main difference is, I wonder if I can get a transparent background colour. I do believe I can. And then I'm going to say that the colour is 333. And it's as simple as that. Why do people make out this is difficult? This is the easiest thing ever, folks. So on the button margin here, I'm going to bring these buttons a bit closer together. Did that work? Yeah, that's really great. That's really, really great. And again, if anybody's wondering why this should even matter, the answer is because it kind of matters because what we're doing here has not been done as far as I can tell. I've never seen a framework that does this. So the idea with this framework, just to be clear, is that unlike other CSS frameworks, you don't have to say class equals such and such. You can basically just go straight to it, do what makes you feel good, and that's it. Right, so I want to find a nice colour. Don't want to make it quite black, you know. Alright. Maybe something, even all the fives might be good. Yeah, that's kind of good. That's kind of good. Now, I wonder if I say font size 3 rem, you can see everything's holding its shape. So this is solid, you know. This is absolutely solid. Now let's just see what 1 rem is doing for us here. So 1 rem, and I'm looking at skeleton. I think that we are pretty acceptable. I'm going to look at the paragraphs here, and I'm a wee bit concerned that the line height is not high enough here. So let's have a nice big paragraph. Okay, I'm going to compare. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to add a wee bit of line height onto this paragraph here. So I'm just going to say P line height 1.2 m. Okay, let's try again. 1.9 m. Okay, so let's bring it to a sensible size here. I think that's excellent. Look at that. Look at that. All right. Not too bad, folks. Not too bad. Now, that's looking good. Everything's looking good here. I'm going to do a wee bit of styling on the list items here. So, on the form itself, I don't need anything. Don't need anything. But on the UL, I'm going to say list style type circle. And instead of having wee dots, we'll have wee circles, just like the skeleton framework does. I quite like this, you know. But I'm going to increase the line height of these things. So on the LIs, we're going to say line height. And maybe we'll have it as 2 Ms. And that's not too bad. Not too bad. I think it might be a bit much, mind you. We'll go with 1.8. There we go. I'm going to also say margin top. And we'll have 3M. Maybe 2M. Oh. There we go. And in fact, we could say margin 2M0. And that's going to give us margin top and bottom. Now look at how nice this looks, folks. I'm hardly even here. And you'd have to say it's looking pretty good. Alright. Now there's only a wee bit more to go here, believe it or not. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to style some buttons. If we say type as button, is this going to change? I really hope it doesn't. Looks good. Now let's work on styling links here, right? So if we go like this. Now the question is this going to break the button? Who knows? Who knows? Well, we shall see. Nah, it's absolutely perfect. So now I'm going to say that if we've got a button, let's change the cursor to a pointer. There it is. And we can also change the colours. So for example, let's inspect this. Okay. Now I'm going to just go like this and move down a wee tiny bit. Can you see that? It was incredibly minuscule, but I did change the value a wee bit there. And so I'm going to say button hover background color is that, and the border is 1 pix that solid. So check this out. Do you see how it changes when I hover? Just a wee bit. We can also add in transition 0.6 of a second, the magic number. And look now, it's a really nice thing, this. Let's just make sure. Okay, I'm going to have to temporarily break this because I want to just make sure my transitions are good. There we go. And there we go. Perfect. So again, the magic number is 0.6. I don't think we need to say 0. We can say 0.6. But those buttons are fantastic. Now, when we hover over an Alt one, Alt, the background color is going to remain transparent. But the border is going to change to that. Let's just try this. Oh gee. Oh, pardon me, we need to say hover. There we go. So hovering. Okay. And I'm going to make it so that the text is going to go this color here. So let's do this. Hovering, right, that's a wee bit too dark with the text here, so we'll say steel blue. There we go. Nice, very, very nice. Now I'm going to increase the padding on those buttons a wee bit, at least the left and right padding. So let's just bring this thing here. I'm going to change it to, let's try 1.6. Okay, now let's go back. 1.4. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right. Funnily enough, 1.2. Yeah, that's pretty good like that. Now, the other things that you could do is probably increase the size of the headlines if you wanted to. So, shall we do that? Well, let's try that. H1, font size. Yeah. Let's try something like that. Whole lot bigger, you know. Right. Now, another thing that we could do is on the headlines, you could give it an Arial black font, which I've found looks quite good for headlines, you know. So you could say font family is that, and then just, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. That is what we're talking about. I think that we could do that with the H2s as well, actually. Yep. That's quite good. Now, I'll probably keep the H3s as they are. But one thing that's incredibly common is to have a headline with a paragraph immediately under it. So let's just sort the spacing for that. Okay, and you can see straight away that we do have a challenge with that. I'm going to go to my paragraph here, and just for the moment I'll give it a little background, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my headline. Okay, now let's say margin bottom 0 on the headline. Okay, let's go to the paragraph. Let's say margin top 0. Okay, now if we assume, we'll assume that we're happy with the paragraph. We won't mess with that one. I think that's actually going to be quite good. So now I'll take out this pink background here, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but we'll just make sure that the sub-headlines are good as well, right? So I'm looking for an H2, here's one here, and again, it's incredibly common to get something like that. And look at that, the spacing is almost perfect. But on the headline, I think I'm going to add just a wee bit of margin on the bottom of it now that I've had a look. Right, so we're not going to do that. But maybe something like that. That's the style. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this yellow here. That's nice. Now, look at this beautiful framework, folks. And how long have we been here? Let's have a wee look at the room. Okay, Gear's in the house. Nice to see you. Hello to Jake. We have our friend Trefwood Punk here. Michael Levitt is in the house. Ah, Michael says a front-end framework. Next, you'll be building a new OS. Nice to see you, Michael. Here's Adam in the house. Thanks for the vibe. Water CSS has the same approach. I don't really bother with class names. Well, if Water CSS does it, then I'm going to stop, because there's no point in me building something that's already been done. Let's check it out. Okay. Oh, that's kind of good, isn't it? That's kind of good. Well, I like that. Okay. I don't think it looks as good as mine, if I'm being honest. I mean, look at those headlines. There's really not much. Look at the headlines, right? Look at our own one here. Look at that. That's been built by somebody who knows what they're doing. That has been built by somebody who really knows what they're doing. So here's what we're going to do, folks. I know what we're going to do here. I'm going to... Right. I'm going to start looking at different screen sizes here. Okay. So for the form, let's have a background color of, I'll just make it this miserable color here. Now, let me just try something. Okay. Now, this... I just thought of something. You see this padding here? Where's the labels? Where? Oh, where? Right. Okay, so we've got labels, we've got text areas. Right, let's see if we can somehow tidy this up a bit. Now, there's definitely a CSS fix that I can do for that. 100%. And I did it the other day. It's... What is it you do again? Oh, gee, I can't even remember. I cannot even remember. But here's what I'm going to do for the moment. I'm going to say 100. Okay. Now, I suppose the question is, what is it that's making that overflow? I'll add in a text area for the moment, just so that we can at least say that we've looked at that, right? So let's do that. And I'm just going to say information. We're going to say text area. And we'll just say information. We're not going to need any of this stuff. Okay, I'm glad I did that. So for the placeholder, I'm going to say add some information here. There we go. Now, let's see if we can work this out. Supposing we say text area. And do we have a gig? Yes, we do. So we're going to say pretty much a lot of the same stuff that we've got here. That's all right. Now, then here I'm going to say comma, text area. Now watch the border. There you go. Font size is a wee bit weird. So let's figure that one out. Funny that it says 1M on both of these. That's a bit strange. Not to worry. But with this thing here, I'm going to say comma, text area, focus. So this means that when I click on this, it goes that steel blue colour. All right. That's good. Now, I'm slightly concerned with this font size being smaller than the text area above. So let's just see what we've got here. Font size 13 pixels. And up here, font size is 16 pixels. The question is why? Why, oh why? Well, if we untick that, okay. Let's inspect here. Right, where is it getting that from? Where on earth is it getting that from? User agent style sheet. Okay, I think I'm going to have to do a wee hack, and I don't have time to mess about. So my wee hack is that if we're talking about a text area, and I'm not claiming to be a CSS guru here, but this should hopefully get us roughly where we need to be. So if I do that, we have a font size of 16 pixels. If I do this here, we have a font size of 18 pixels. So all I need to do is tweak this until I get this thing to match 16, and we should have something that is acceptable. So I'm going to inspect. So that's saying 16.9, so we're getting closer. I'll try 1.2. So that's saying 15.6. So we'll go a wee bit bigger. Let's say 1.25. Inspect. Now, that's given us 16.25. Okay, so did I try 1.2 a minute ago? I can't remember. Right, so if I go to 1.2, let's say 3. There you go, 15.99. So let's make it 1. Let's add in another 3 here. And that gets us to font size 16. Okay, so 1.32. Yes, I'm that much of a perfectionist, folks. I'm that much of a perfectionist. Okay, it's just about there, I think. The truth is that, and I'm not trying to excuse shoddy work or anything here, but I'm going to just use this for demonstrations, if you know what I mean. That's all I'm looking for here. Now the padding is 9.6 pixels up here, and if I go here and inspect, the padding is 9.6. So that's beautiful, and that's all now sorted, right? Really, really cool. Isn't this fantastic? Now on the text area, I think that we could do with a wee bit of line height. Okay. I think that's fine. In fact, yeah, that's just perfect, actually. That's really, really great. Alright, so there's only a couple more things to do here. The other thing I want to do is I really want to fix this this padding issue. Now, I have seen this before. In fact, I saw it in Stack Overflow, text area, padding, or margin, fix. And I can remember that we said WebKit, and we said something like type is box. It was something like that. I can remember looking that up. So let me do a research on Google for that. There is a fix for this, and we shall sort that out. Now, that's not the fix. I can remember it was dash WebKit that we said. Text area. It was something like that. Okay, text area, outside div, padding, I think it's something like that. Right, this is what we're talking about. Could it be this? I wonder. Probably not. It could be that. All right. Now, I wonder if we can do the same thing for the text areas. Suppose we head back. What is this box sizing model all about? Never even heard of that. Okay, I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I'm going to chuck it in here, and we'll just see what that does, right? And it's good. All right, now look at this beautiful thing. Okay, next I'm going to go to the container here. Now I'm going to add a margin of 60 pixels on left and right hand sides here. So what that means is, right, the width is going to be 100%. Maybe not. Oh, geez, that's saying 1,000. Let's say 100%. I'm going to say that the max width is, let's just say 800. Now, what that gives us is something like this. Okay. Let's add a little auto here. Maybe a wee 50 here. Right, this is what I was looking for. That's exactly what I was looking for, right? Because the next thing I want to do is, when these get to a certain size, now let me just let's bring this to 100%, right? Right. Perfect. Now I'm going to bring up the inspector here. Okay. Now the idea is that when this gets to a certain size, I want those buttons to take up the full width, you know, so that this thing looks good on mobile devices. You can see, for example, a Google Pixel is 410 wide. We've got a Moto 360, Galaxy is 360, Pixel XL 411, iPhone 320. We've got iPhone 6 here. Let's go with an iPad. Okay, now an iPad's pretty big. Surface Duo 540. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say that let's have a media query in here. So let's just see. Okay, so okay. Now, what does this screen only thing do here? Let me just remind myself. Got you. Okay, used for computer screens, tablets, smartphones, etc. That's absolutely fine, right? So this is quite good here. And the idea is, wait you see this, man, you're going to love it. I'm going to chuck a media query in down here. And the media query is going to say that up until 450 pixels, that's our mobile size, right? So if we're on a screen and it's up until that size, then you see these buttons here, right? The buttons are going to have a width of 100%. So check this. If we refresh the screen, we've got this, right? Now I'm going to bring it in smaller and smaller and smaller, and keep an eye on the buttons. Whoa, hold on. Right, here we go. Get rid of this thing. So that's 600 wide, right? Now I'm going to bring it down. Unfortunately, this is only taking me to 500, so I'm going to cheat. I'll say 650. Right, here we go. Ah, that's what we're talking about. So do you see how the buttons are now occupying that full width when we're on a small device? That's exactly what you want from your front-end framework, ladies and gentlemen. That is the promised land. That's excellent. I might even make it 550. Why not? So, isn't that fantastic? This is really, really great. And I had such a rubbish day yesterday, and it's nice to have a day that goes well. We're almost finished here. So I'll get rid of that line thing. And again, just to show you what we're doing, if I go to a mobile device here, make it something a bit more sensible. Right. Now look at that. Isn't that just fantastic? I think it is. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to do layout stuff today. I will eventually, but I'm not touching the layout right now. So no grid systems, nothing like that. But what I could do to just wrap this up, and I'll take a little note here to do. So I'm going to do, let's have a think here. We'll do links. I'll do a table. I'm going to do a drop down. I'm going to do a checkbox. And maybe a radio button. Is there anything else that we need here just to have something basic? I don't think so. I think that's it. Alright, so if you're just joining us, what we're doing today, folks, is we're building a CSS framework. Why? Because so far, there's some great CSS frameworks out there, but I've had this idea for a while. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a CSS framework where you could just go something like that and it just looks nice, you know? You should not have to type class equals blah blah blah. That's what we're doing. Now, if anybody's thinking that I've gone all recreational and I've taken my eye off the ball, I haven't, because I'm launching a framework soon. And when I launch the framework, I want to be able to go like this and show people stuff like this. And I want it to look nice, you know? And I want to be able to go like this. And I want it to look nice. I don't want to have to go like this and say things like attributes, class equals btn dash primary. That's the old way. And then you add in attributes. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just, when I launch the framework, I want to be able to go, look, here's a form. And I want it to just look beautiful. Like that, without any class stuff whatsoever. That's what this is all about today. So that's what we're talking about. And isn't it looking fantastic, folks? I think it is. All right. So what else we got? Box sizing. We got a thing called clear fix. Somebody's mentioned. You should have a general reset for box sizing, like before, after box sizing border box. Fair enough. Well, do you know what, Michael? I'm going to add this to GitHub, and you can contribute and do that if you want. This particular front-end framework will have no license. There is no license. I've only been working on it for an hour, and it's just about finished. So I'm going to upload it, and anybody who wants to add to it can. There is no license. You can even steal it if you want. It doesn't bother me. And all it is just something that, like I say, the whole idea is that you're going to be able to create a page like this and just go straight to the good stuff, you know, without being held back by class equals blah, 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 blah. That's what we're doing today, folks. It's a really, really simple idea. But I haven't seen it anywhere. Somebody mentioned water.css and it just wasn't quite up to it. I'm glad you like it, Jake. I think it's looking quite nice, you know. And the other thing as well is, let's say, for example, you've got a delete button and you really want it to be red. I mean, you're just so depressed because you want a red button. Folks, you should be comfortable going in and just doing something like this. Watch how long this takes, right? I'm going to just go like this. Button, dot, let's just say danger, or anything you want. Delete, right? So what was that? A few seconds. And then you should be able to simply go like this and say something like, if it's danger, give it a background color of this, for example. Give it a border of that as well. Okay, so that's red. And you might want to say, if somebody hovers, for example, then let's change the color a little bit, just a little bit. And instead of having it red, I'll make it go a kind of dark red. So that would be something like this. And you might say something like, okay, and we'll have the font color is going to be white, okay? So look, I've just added a few lines of CSS, and look at that, a glorious and fabulous button. Isn't that so much better than hanging about like some kind of a freak looking up the classes and saying, oh, is it BTN primary? Who cares? I just want a simple button. And, you know, if somebody's not capable of, I mean, how long did that take with the danger thing? 1 minute? If you're not capable of doing that, you shouldn't be in the game, you know? So this is what we're doing with this framework, folks, and I have not seen it before. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm so excited. So you are here on the most important web development channel on YouTube, because this is the heart of the revolution. We have Jake here with his incredible VS Code extension. Haven't even launched the framework and he's already had over 100 downloads, Jake. We have the godfather of speed coding. Yesterday we had Derek, formerly a contributor to the Zen framework. He's on board. We have all of the Speed Coding Academy people in our midst, and together we are having a web development revolution. It's fantastic. So, with all of that excitement, I'm going to ruin the whole vibe now, and I am going to have to head out for 10 minutes. I could stay here for 12 hours. I'm going to do a 12-hour codathon next week, by the way. In fact, who's up for a 24-hour codathon? Shall we do it? I'm going to do a 24-hour codathon. I'm going to sit right here. 24-hour codathon. We're going to do it. Now, again, temper your excitement, because I'm going to have to head out for just a wee minute. I need to take my cat out for a walk. It's just, yeah, that's right. I need to take the cat out for a walk. Coco the cat was from a pretty big house, you know, and she's used to wandering about free, but when she goes outside, all of the cats go after her, so I need to vanish for a short while. I will leave you with this music, and I will be back in about 10. Oh, do you know what? I get copyright strikes with this stuff. I'll give you some miserable copyright-free music that hopefully will not give me a strike. In fact, do you know what won't give me a copyright strike? If I play the C64 music. That's what we're going to play. Anyway, we'll do this, and I am going to vanish, and I will be back shortly. In about 10 minutes, okay? There you go. Nobody's going to copyright strike you for that. I'll be right back, folks. Stay cool. Alright. Alright kids, welcome back. So the plan with this thing is I'm going to just get it out there as quick as I can, like within the next half hour. I would not recommend this, if we're calling it a front end framework, I would not recommend it for production or anything. But what it is going to be good for is prototypes, and also it's going to be good for tutorials, you know. And I'm planning a year of Trongate tutorials next year. So you'll be able to do things like this, and it's going to look beautiful, and you won't have to worry about any CSS shenanigans. That's pretty much what this does. Now when this goes up, all of you are welcome to contribute and add bits and pieces on, and eventually we'll make it something really cool. There is no license, and it's just my little Christmas gift to you. It's actually very simple though. So let's continue and see if we can make this happen, right? So I have a few things that I'd like to just quickly do here, such as links and whatnot. So let's just do those, right? I'll head up here and let's just say a little paragraph with some lorem, and it run about here. I'm going to just, in fact, who cares about PHP? Just think of an ordinary link, right? And here is a link. Okay, so let's have a think about this and imagine that. By the way, I do hope that my sound's okay, and I always appreciate if you can let me know. So here's a link we've got here, right? So what we're going to do is try and get the links looking kind of nice. Now I do like this thing, skeleton, but there's a few things that we can do, I think, that are going to be a wee bit even better. So let's go somewhere like this, and I'm going to say that the links have all got this colour of steel blue. There's no particular reason why I chose that. You can, of course, have any colour that you like. Now we could say text decoration none, and then we could say that if it's a hover, then the text decoration would be underlined. Now how do we feel about that? Or do you think we should just have it always as a link? What do we reckon? If anybody in the room has an opinion, please let me know. We're talking about the links here. I think they might be good if they've just always got underlines. Do you know that? Yeah, let's not do anything clever. That would be my vote, but if you disagree, I will go with whatever the majority says. For the moment though, I'll just say we'll have them with an underline, right? So, assuming that you agree, then that is the link. But you know something? What we could do is we could say that if you hover, the colour goes to something else. Now that would be kind of cool. And why don't we make it so that the colour that you go to, if I find the button here, yeah, we could make it so that if you hover it goes this darker colour. That would be kind of cool. So that's just slightly darker, you'll hardly even notice it. But look, here's the link. I'm going to zoom in. Do you see how it's gone just a wee bit darker? I think that's quite nice, you know. I think that's pretty nice. Alright. So I'll go with that, but do let me know your own comments and opinions if you have any to offer. I'd have to say the headlines are looking fabulous. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Okay. I'm loving it. Alright folks, so I'm going to have this on GitHub in about half an hour hopefully. And you are all welcome to change and add things and all of that. And we'll see if we can turn it into something nice over the months ahead, right? So the next thing we're going to do now, thanks for letting me know that the sound is good, by the way. Who was that? It was good old Gear and Jake. Bless you too. I appreciate that. So the next things we're going to do then is going to be, we've done the links. Let's do the table. So I'll do these 4 things and then I'm just putting it on GitHub and it's yours. There is no license, right? So we'll do the table next. Now, let's think about this. Normally when people do tables, they do something. Now nobody uses this T-head bullshit, right? We don't do that. I can't even type it. But normally you'll get people that do stuff like this. So they might have a head. Now let's just say let's just say 4 of these, right? Now I'm going to just say 1, 2, Let's say 3. And let's say 4. Now, of course, these would be inside a table row. How could I forget that? Okay, so we'll go like this. We'll chuck these inside here. Here they go. We'll do a little tab. And then we'll do maybe some normal table cells here, right? And there we go. So let's have a wee look at this table and see what a default table looks like. And as you can see, it does not look too great. So we're going to sort that out. Now the goal is, all of those other frameworks are doing stuff like this. Class equals table, you know, table striped. I've even seen this, right? We don't want to do that. We just want it to do this. That's what we're doing with this one. So we're going to go, I'll go quite far down the source code here. And I'm going to say table. Now, just for the purposes of this, let's just say 1 pix red solid. We're just going to look at the table, nothing more. Just going to look at it, right? So what we'll do, I think, to start this off is we're going to say width is 100%. Seems like a reasonable thing to do, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say that if we're talking about a TR or a TD, let's give a border 1 pix red solid again. Alright. Now, pardon me, that should say TH. There we go. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is use CSS to get rid of the cell spacing, okay? So CSS to remove table spacing. And I am going to have to look this one up. So here we go. Okay. Pardon me. Alright. So somebody has written an article. And there it is. Table, border, collapse, collapse. That's all we have to do, folks. So we'll chuck that in. We're going to go back here. Refresh. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So our goal now is to just make this thing look nice. So we'll start off by saying background color. And I'm going to stick with this steel blue. I assume that you're going to change that, right? And that's perfectly okay. But we'll do that, and we'll do that. Okay, now, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This is going to only apply to those THs. That's what we're talking about. Now, as far as the THs and the TDs go, I'm going to say padding. Let's just try 1M. It's not too bad. Could do with being a wee bit shorter. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to take the border and I'm going to try something. I'm going to take this dark blue and we'll chuck that in. Oh, that's looking really good. That's looking fantastic, folks. Very nice. Alright. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so that each alternative row is a little bit darker. So, the way that we do this is we're going to say TD, nth, child. Let's just say odd. Background color red. Haha. That's not what I meant. TR. There you go. So, of course, we're not going to make it red, but we'll make it just a little bit darker. So, if we go ease. There you go. So, do you see how we've got these nice stripes going on here? Now, that's EEE, 999. Yeah, that's kind of cool. We could also do something like this. We could say TD hover cursor pointer or something like that. And then you could have it even with TR hover. But now let's just give it something crazy. Yeah, so do you see how I'm... Okay, now let's see, what could we do here? I'm going to just open up a little color picker if we can. Alright, so we're talking about hash EEE. That's where we are, right? We've got that. Now, there we go. So, I'm going to change this just a wee bit to that colour. So it's almost identical. Right. And now, when we hover, not sure if I'm into it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's bring back that E. Here it is. Let's add a wee touch of yellow. A little tiny touch of yellow. A hint of yellow. Alright, there's our little hint of yellow. We're going to paste in. Saving it. Let's refresh. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That goes with the steel blue as well. So now I'm going to go like this. A little comma. We're going to say hover. And watch now. Look at the beautiful tables, folks. Aren't they fantastic? The answer is yes. They are fantastic. Okay, so that's our table done. It's kind of a generic table, but I do think that this is satisfactory. Alright. So now we're making good progress here, folks. Now we've got a drop down, a checkbox and a radio button. I think I might add small and large buttons. Do you know that? Because you do use those as well, right? Let's do that as well. So I'm going to go like this. Now, I just had a thought here. Style equals font size 3 rem. Oh, the genius knows no limits, ladies and gentlemen. The genius knows no limits. I thought that would happen. Ha 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 ha! Oh, this is so good. Right, you're all gonna friggin' love me. So here's the vibe. Do you know how when you do frameworks, you're just gonna love it, folks. Do you know how when you're building, working with a CSS framework, you normally have these buttons, right? Now think about the normal CSS framework setup. What normally happens is you do something like that, and something like that, and something like that, okay? That's what you normally do if you want a small button. Now some of them will actually say the word button. For example, you might have something like that. Some of them might say SM for small. And of course, there's going to be versions for large buttons and all of that stuff, right? We've all seen that before, and we're all used to that, right? What this framework does, which has never been seen before, ladies and gentlemen, don't you steal my fire, person who mentioned another framework. But what this framework is going to do is if you want a nice button, you're going to do that, and you've got a button. It's going to look fabulous. Now, if you want a small button or a big button, I want you to watch very closely here. You're all thinking that I'm going to go like this, right? Or something like that. That's what everybody's expecting. But you're wrong. Watch. I'm going to have a div. I'm going to have a button here. Let's even have 2 buttons. And I'm going to just say super cool. And I'll have another button here. Any way you like. Alright. Now let's save it, right? As we look at the page, we have these nice super cool buttons. If you want the alternative button, this is the only time you'll say class, right? I'm just going to say class as alt. There you go. And let's talk like professionals. With very rare exception, you probably only want 2 types of button. With very rare exception. I'm teaching you how to be a professional developer here, folks. Now, say you want those buttons to be small, and say you want them to be large and extra small and all of that stuff. Watch how easy it is, right? I've copied this thing twice, okay? And I'm going to make this one right up here. Let's make it small. Now watch how easy it is. I'm going to go to the div, not the button. And I'm going to say font size. And I can say something like 0.8 rem. I'm going to save, refresh. And look at that. Now we have a small button here like this. See? We did not have to change the button. And the reason why is because I'm 50 steps ahead of everybody. When I was making this, I made the sizes change on the M value, not on the pixel value. Now, supposing you're going to have a large button here, you know what's coming up, but I'm going to milk it. So, again, I'm not changing the button. I'm simply going in here and I'm going to say font size. Now, you can say anything you want. I'll use rems, but let's just say 2 rem. And if we save and refresh, look at that. And you can make them absolutely any size you want. You are in control. And by the way, just in case you weren't happy, let's look at this on a mobile device. And behold, as the buttons now occupy the full width of the screen. Ah, this is the coolest framework ever, folks. Say you want an extra small button. Simple as that. And you don't even need to use rem. I could have used pixels. Any unit you want. And this is going to be fine. Isn't that nice? Isn't it about time somebody built this? Alright, well, I'm loving it. So that's how we're going to do that, folks. The amount of stuff that you don't have to learn is quite astonishing. Here comes Simon. Nice to see you. Jake's in the house. They're all laughing at something, but who knows what. Message retracted. I wonder what he said. Fantastic idea, DC. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to do a few more things, and then we're going to upload it to GitHub. And yes, you were here when a brand new thing got created. Every minute of it captured on camera. So the next thing we're going to do, folks, let's have a look here. We've got a drop down, checkbox, radio button. I suppose you could say email fields as well. We use those a lot, right? Let's do the email field. Actually, that's really important. So type is email. Email. Actually, now that I think of it, we've got passwords as well. Let's do those, right? Let's do those. So password. Password. Okay, here we go. Let's just make sure that they are looking okay. So as we head up, I'm certainly glad I checked that. So the way that we get these things working is we just take this little beauty here and we're going to do a comma and we're going to say email. And watch as the email one suddenly starts looking good. See what I'm talking about? And again, I'll do the same with password. And you can add others if you want. These are the ones that I'm using though, you know. So we've got that stuff. And now we're gonna go like that. But each one of these is going to get a wee focus thing stuck on it. Like that. Finally, we're going to do a little assortment of them here. Whoops. So it's going to be these little beauties here. Remember folks, the only difference between you and me is confidence. I have the confidence to wake up and say, I'm going to build a front end framework. And just do it, you know, in like 2 hours or whatever. It's just a wee bit of confidence, folks, you know, that's all you need. A little bit of confidence and an expectation of success. And these are all looking fantastic. Alright, so now back to this to-do list here. We're going to have a drop down, a checkbox, then a radio. So, in fact, I just thought of one other thing. I keep on doing this. Why don't we have little nice dividers as well? Will we do those as well? Let's do that. So we'll have some lorem going on here. It's another thing that I've really looked for in CSS frameworks, and the solutions I've seen are problematic and they're awkward. Let's fix that, right? So we're going to have a little HR. Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't it be good if you could just do an HR? Alright, so here it is here. Now, what we're going to do is see if we can make this HR look good, you know. So how do we do that? Well, it probably doesn't get used too much, so I'll move it far down the source code. I'm going to say HR height is 1 pixel. Okay, let's see, border 1 pix red solid. Alright, this is not working. CSS format HR. I've got a feeling that there's some kind of border collapse or something that I need to watch out for, so let me just search for it. So the goal is I want us to be able to, oh, good old W3 schools, excellent. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It looks as if we can just do this. Okay, let's try this. Border top, 1 pix solid red. Oh, do you know what? I'm saying H1. What an idiot. HR. That looks garbage. Height 1 pixel. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. Okay. It's funny, you know, because it looks kind of nice here, doesn't it? Why is that? Okay, so one pix solid red, let's try that. Nah, let's try something else. Nah, that's just no working. Okay, that's alright. That's why we test stuff. Oh, now look at this. Fancy ones. Simple styles. Let's try that. Well, that's kind of good. That's it. So the key was to say border 0, if anybody's wondering. Now let's say we have a wee bit of fun and see what we look like with a different thing. What about this craziness? Just a wee bit of fun. Nah. Alright. So this is what we're going to have then. And the colour is going to be the same as the general page colour. And in this case, that's all the 5s. All the 5s coming at you, folks. So now we're going to have a nice little HR thing. Look at that. It's just nice, you know. It's good. You know what? Let's add in a wee margin. That's it. Very nice. This is good. Definitely good. You typed H1. Thanks for noticing. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Alright folks, we're nearly there, so we're going to do these final 3 things. So what we're talking about is a drop down, a checkbox and a radio button. So we'll do the drop down first. Okay. So we'll have a label and we'll forget this for nonsense. I'm just going to say favourite movie or something like that. And then underneath here, I'll do a wee bit of PHP. I'm going to say options is. Now options is going to be an array. So you might have select movie like that. And then you might have, let's just say Star Wars. Options. Let's have another couple, right? We'll have First Blood. And we'll just have one more. I don't know. Alright, so we've got a bunch of options. Now I'm going to say that the selected option is the empty one. And I'm going to say echo form drop down. Now the form's going to have a name of favourite movie. We're going to pass in the options and we're going to have a selected option like that. Now back at the form here. Here it is here. And you can see we've got our drop down, but of course it looks totally rubbish. Alright. So I'm going to inspect this. And I can see that they're calling it select, right? So we will do likewise. Okay, so I'll have it living maybe here. Now let's just make sure we have a gig by saying background color red, and that's looking good. So the first thing we'll do then is we're going to say width is 100%. There it is right there. Now, one of the things that I'm curious about is when we have an option, do we style it like that? Apparently not. Okay, that's good. So in that case, let's have a wee look at the... Let's have a look at this stuff here. I'm going to paste in. Look at this. Very nice. Now, it's actually, now that I think of it, pretty much the same as all of those input things up here. So, why reinvent the wheel? Let's just say, comma, select. And then here, comma, select. And look at that beautiful thing, folks. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is get it so that when we focus it goes that nice colour. So we say, just say select, focus. So now you can see that we've got that nice steel blue colour, and it's absolutely fantastic. Quick look at skeleton. Quick look at it. Let's see how they're handling it. Okay, so right, you can see that they're using the default type of vibe, and I think that's exactly what we are going to do. So that's now done, and I'm happy with it. So let's take that off of the to-do list. Next, we've just got the checkbox and the radio button. So to remind ourselves of what that looks like, we'll just add in a little label. With something. Now I'm going to say echo form checkbox. I think that's how we do it. I think we give it a name. I think we give it a value. Maybe not. Okay, I'm going to cheat. Let's open up the form helper. Right, so you say name value checked. That's how we do it. Name value checked. So it's echo. And I'm just going to say checked is true. Can give it a value of 1. For the name, I'll just say whatever. Alright, back over to the page here. Uncaught function radio. Okay, so that is a mistake. That's a mistake with the framework, actually. So I'm going to have to fix that. I think it should say form radio. And there you go. Right, now there's not too much happening with this checkbox here, and it looks kind of unimpressive. But then again, that seems to be just the way they are, you know. Do we have any styling for the checkboxes here? Just display in line. Wee bit of a margin, line height. There's nothing much happening with the checkbox, so I think it would be nice if we could make the checkbox a wee bit bigger. That would be nice. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to try something here. I'm going to run about here. I'm going to say checkbox checked. Background color red. Now let's just see if we can control the background color. We cannot control the background color. Perhaps we say input checked. No. Okay, let's try this one then. Input type is checkbox. Let's take out the checkbox checked thing. Alright. It's just not happening, is it not? I don't want to do a whole lot of code like this as well. It's just too much work for too little rewards, you know. We may have to just make do with the default checkbox. So could it be? Could it be that? Is that the code? I wonder. Oh, no, that did disappear, so we're definitely talking to it. Okay. Right. Now, right, it seems to have gone a wee bit bigger there. It has gone a bit bigger. Right, that's good. That's good. Okay. All right. Oh, now look at this. So here we've got a vibe like this, and if you say checked, this should give us a fancy tick thing. I'm not even sure if we want it, but let's just see. Alright, I think I'm just about ready to chuck that. Okay, these are nice little checkboxes, there's no getting away from it, but I don't think we really need them. The only thing that we really need is for the checkbox to be a wee bit bigger. If we can achieve that, that will be more than acceptable. And by the looks of things, we can achieve that. If we just bring this down a wee bit to any size that makes us feel good. Okay, now let's just think about how a checkbox normally works. You would usually have something like this. That's normally what happens. Now, suppose we take this thing out. Okay, let's just make it a bit bigger. Little bit bigger, not much. And I'm going to say, can get rid of this content. Okay, I'm going to say top 1M position relative. All right. .3M. There we go. Now I don't think we need that, and I don't think we need that. That's good. Let's get rid of this and this. That's perfect. And that's all we need, folks. So all I've done is I've made it a wee bit bigger, and I've just positioned it nicely so that it just looks kind of good, you know. It's very subtle, kind of understated, but that's fine. That's good, you know. So let's have a wee look at the to-do list. We've only got one more thing to do now, folks, and that is the radio button. So I'm going to go here. Well, actually, let's so for this, I'm going to look this one up. I hardly ever use radio buttons, you know. In fact, I struggle to think of the last time when I used radio buttons. But I suppose some people like them, you know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, let's have a think about this. I wouldn't have the layout like that. I would have it like this. And then I would have after that, it would say male. I'd get rid of the label. That would say female. And then here, it would say something like that. Alright. So, this should be quite easy. In fact, you know what? Their radio buttons are alright. I don't feel as if I need to do anything to them. I really don't feel as if I need to do anything to them, folks. I may keep them as they are. Alright. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. We'll get the margin happening on the top. Possibly even margin on the bottom as well. There you go. But we'll make it left and right of 0. Okay. Now, I've got a great idea. Input type radio. I'm going to say not can't remember how to do it. CSS, not first. I'm trying to do that, right? Not first child, that's it. Right, got it. So if I say radio, not, let's go with nth. Alright, I think I'm going to have to add in a wee margin left here. Right. Oh, I'm repeating myself. Alright, we'll go with 2M and 1M. Alright, so it's going to be top is 2, the right is going to be 0, the bottom is going to be 2, and the left is going to be 2. Maybe just 1. Yeah, there we go. Let's bring that top to 1.6. I think that's perfect. Wee bit small, you know, but I think it's perfect. Okay. So, I think most frameworks are using a lot of hacks, replacing them with icons. Might be a problem you had with the Define. Yep, and good observation. That's interesting. Okay, so it didn't say that 10 years. It certainly did not say that 10 years ago. But there shall be no politics on this live stream. That's for sure. Well, folks, I have finished. Thank you very much indeed. I've finished it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed watching this being built. Now, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not using pixels anywhere. And then I'm going to record a tutorial. I'll add it to GitHub. And you're very welcome to contribute or anything. As I said before, there is no license with this. No license at all. And it's just a little early Christmas present from me to you. Alright, so that's going to be it. Let's just upload it to GitHub now, shall we? So that container's not going to be a part of it. It's just this thing here. I'm going to copy it. Now, it's going to be called Trongate CSS. You knew that was going to happen, right? So we'll have a new file. I'll call it trongate.css. And it's just going to make life a lot easier for when I'm doing tutorials and stuff like that, you know? Instead of having to add attributes and everything. The whole idea is that you'll just be able to write the way that makes you feel good. So, let's take a commit, send it up to the sky. I do hope that you enjoy using this. Okay folks, we'll now send it up to GitHub, shall we? I don't know if I should bother with versions and all of that. I don't think anybody really cares. So let's just send it up. Okay. And now, if you go to my GitHub page, here's my GitHub page, right? It's David J. Connolly. And you should see, it says repositories, there's 14. And there's one here called Trongate CSS. And if you click on it, here it is here. It's just a very simple thing. But it's going to help you to get out of the starting blocks. And like I say, it'll be perfect for tutorials, perfect for prototypes. And you never know, maybe we can build on it and turn it into something good. The last thing I'm going to do is... I want to figure out how to get it on a CDN. That would be kind of cool. Does anybody know how to do that? Oh, right, okay. I might need to have a wee chat with my friend Derek about that. Well, if you take something like Blueprint Dev, CSS. So what I'm going to do is try and see how they do it. So if we go to documentation, right, we've got a site called unpackage.com. Let's have a wee look at this. It would certainly be nice. Unpackage is a fast global content delivery for everything on NPM. Look at that, an open source project built and maintained by Michael Jackson. Okay. So what I would have to do then is add it on to NPM, and I haven't really got time to do that. So that's going to be it for this one, folks. And I hope you enjoyed this. All right. Treff says, I will try this. Been using Spectre since you stumbled across it. Well, Spectre's the professional choice, you know. Spectre's what I would use in a real site. But something like this that lets you just fire vanilla HTML without locking it is ace. Thank you. I think so too, you know. I wonder how Skeleton distributes its stuff. It's on GitHub. Look at that. Now, so I can definitely do this. I can definitely do this. So look at this, folks. Right, we're going to have that then. So, let me take a wee trip to GitHub just before I finish up here. Oh, do you know what? I've even lost my GitHub page. Who cares? I'll figure it out. Anyway, I'm going to put a wee tutorial together for you right now, folks. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you at the wee tutorial thing. And I'm probably going to come back later on and do more live streaming today. I have a lot of work to do here. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers, folks. Oh, hang on. The Shamon Distribution Network. Alright, take it easy, kids.